In season 5 of The Sopranos, we witnessed one of the show's most shocking moments, when mob captain and big construction tycoon Vito Spadafore brazenly and shamelessly betrays Paulie Gualtieri by going down on a security guard after Finn comes early to work one day, and because of that, the construction site's poor security guard doesn't come at all. Vito, of course, could be killed if news of this gets out, but before he can show Finn his doctor's note, Finn leaves his job at the construction site out of fear. In the clear, Vito's pink team tendencies remain under the radar until he capitalizes on an opportunity in season 6. The gangsters of the show are all at Johnny Sax's daughter's wedding, meaning Vito is able to feign sickness at the function, go home, and don his leather motorcycle outfit. Chaps too. And with everyone at the wedding, he doesn't have to fear getting caught. That's the thing with the gays. Living in the closet makes him devious. Unfortunately for Vito, Sal from Yonkers spots him and the news gets out. Vito goes on the run, stumbling on a literal fairy tale town, as I broke down in another video. But after the working man's life bores him, he heads back to Jersey to buy his way back in. Tony is open to the idea, but before anything can be done, Vito is discovered by the Shah of Iran's secret police, who kill him and shove a 95-pound pool cue up his ass. I wonder if it was chalked. Now, on this channel, we break down and analyse the big questions of The Sopranos. What happened at the end of the show? Did Tony die? Who killed him? Why did Butch sell out Phil after pushing the New York-New Jersey war so hard? Was Feature's apology to Tony genuine? Was Tony really going to kill Hesh? What happened to the Russian? And a whole lot of other things. But today, I wanted to go even bigger and tackle a question that has plagued me for years, that has given me cause to lay awake in bed night after night, tossing and turning. And that is, just what was Silvio going to ask Finn when he's telling them about Vito? If you remember, Meadow tells Carmelo, who tells Tony, that Finn saw Vito catching, not pitching, so Tony brings Finn to Satriale's so he can tell his story to the guys. Once Finn gives his testimony, there's no doubt that Gino is indeed a muncher of ass. But during the conversation, while the crew are taking it all in, Silvio asks Finn,
"Let me ask you a question. Before he cornered you in the porta potty, when the security guy was sucking him off..."
And Finn then interrupts and corrects him by saying it was Vito blowing the security guard, shocking the Sopranos crew even more. But we never go back to Sil's question. And I know me saying it's an important unanswered mystery is a joke, I was here, but still, this is genuinely something that has been on my mind. Some of you may be thinking,
what kind of question is it?
But I'm sure Sopranos fanatics have thought about it too. Everybody asks that. There's no answer, not even with computers. Just what did Silvio have on his mind that he wanted to ask? Was this some sort of detail that would have made it okay, what Vito was doing? Was Silvio a lover of erotic stories and was getting off on this? Or did he just want to ask, how long did it take for the guy to come? You know, this entire segment of the storyline is shrouded in narrative confusion. Think about it. Tony looks depressed and ashamed at the story too, so we can infer this is the first time he's hearing it. But what if Finn didn't have anything really important to report? And how exactly did he get Shaggy to come with him to meet the guys? Did he pick him up at his house and ask, "Is it true that one of my captains is also a captain of the good ship Lollipop?" And then Finn went, "Yeah, so basically I drove into work one morning," and Tony was then like, No, don't tell me, it'll ruin the surprise. Wait till we meet the guys, let's go." How did it even work? Tony brought Finn in, or of course Finn has made his own way there. But either way, surely Tony's going to get some kind of preemptive plot outline from Finn or Meadow before he has him spill the beans. Why even bring the painless dentist to Satriale's in the first place? What if what Finn says was something Tony would only want him and Sil hearing first and not the rest of the guys? He initially wants to give Vito a second chance, so by having Finn say it to everyone, doesn't Tony take the control out of his hands and seal Vito's fate? After all, the likes of Paulie and Carlo were going mau at the idea of calling for Vito's head. And after this scene, Tony is still wanting to avoid killing Vito. Before this escalation, Tony could have mitigated the situation by hearing what he needed to from Finn directly, and then perhaps telling the guys, "Oh, it isn't as bad as we thought, he was just giving the security guard a back rub," or something. It's one of Tony's many poor decisions in the show. Then again, Carmela and Rosalie already knew, so maybe it's a case that Tony knows how it will look if he doesn't find Meadows' ex-boyfriend and hear his story. And if Tony lies about it or downplays what Finn says to him, the wives would still gossip like high school girls and the crew would end up knowing something doesn't add up. So I guess the cock's out of the bag and the situation can't get any worse by having Finn confirm what everyone already knows to keep up appearances if nothing else. If the crew find out a different way, it will look bad on Tony for appearing to cover up for Vito. They would know Tony had abundant intentionality in not getting confirmation from Finn. The social club know Finn. They know he worked at the construction site, unlike the douchebag from Yonkers, so his story will be credible, and by hearing it from a neutral, they don't have to actually see Vito take it up the ass before taking action. Without Finn's story, there could still be truth in the idea that Vito at the gay bar was a top-tier practical joke. It could even be that people think Tony is lying about Felder's old boyfriend seeing Vito, so he brings in the guy personally to take it off him. After all, the crew already think that Tony whacked the previous April captain over a horse, so for all they know, he's got a hard-on for Vito. We also have to remember that Tony might be more progressive and lax than many of his fellow mobsters, but he isn't exactly waving a pride flag around. He still detests homosexuals, and his laissez-faire attitude to the whole thing is more about Vito being his highest earner, and plus him being pretty fed up with all the issues he suddenly has after coming out of the hospital with his new "from now on every day is a gift" attitude. It's not like Tony was completely against the idea of taking out Vito at this time, he was just undecidedly dilly-dallying. So as well as the rest of the guys, he would also want independent verification that this just wasn't fucking slander, ask me. Also, I think by having Finn say it in person, it also protects Finn, in case someone down the line wants to take him out to stop the story spreading, for the honour of the family. Even still, how exactly did Finn tell this story without the detail that it was Vito who was giving head, not the other way around? What kind of shit storyteller is he? How did he tell the story and still miss the most important detail? Meadow said it was Vito greasing the union. Calm said, "You gotta hear what Meadow just told us." So surely, unless Tony dived out of the house into the garden as soon as Carmela said her line, Tony, in spite of how shocked he looks at Satriale's, would have known. And yet when Finn tells the story, everyone assumes it was the security guard. So how did Finn tell the story? Did he say, Vito was involved in penisary contact with the security man, but he doesn't specify who was doing what? And why does Tony look shocked when he surely already knew, unless he wanted to act like this was the first time he was hearing this? Does that mean up until that point Tony was only aware that Vito was involved in something vaguely gay but didn't have the details? It doesn't quite work that everyone was stunned that Vito was the one catching when you think about it, does it? The entire point of Finn being there is for him to tell what he saw. All he needs to do is say, "When I came in early one morning, there Vito was in the car with some security guard. His cock was in his mouth. Disgusting." Then again, who spends this long talking about one offhand line from the show? It's a TV program, Signorante, a movie. Or maybe someone asked him, "Is it true? Did you really see what they're saying you saw?" And Finn nods, and what we see is what happens next. Or maybe it wasn't clear because Finn was stuttering, embarrassed, and it was all too much for him to say it directly, and he says something evasive like, "I saw Vito and a security guard in a car. I don't want to get graphic beyond that. The very idea of it repulses me so." There's also something else weird as well. Tony treating Finn like an utter toddler when he gives him cash and tells him to have a sandwich and soda, any kind he likes, as if usually he's on some kind of curfew where he can only have specific kinds of sandwiches and drinks. But I chalk the money thing up to Tony being used to quote-unquote rewarding behaviour with cash or food. It's like giving a puppy a treat, and in terms of what he says to Finn, he's probably not thinking straight, if you'll pardon the pun, with this bombshell of a story just being announced and how he knows the guys are itching to talk about it, just not in front of Finn. So what comes out is kind of jumbled while he's basically trying to get Finn out of the door. I like it. It's a detail that feels realistic. We have to also remember Tony will know that he needs to stop the already paranoid looking Finn from freaking out and thinking that they are going to have Vito whacked. So what he's essentially doing here is being a warm and convivial host, trying to calm Finn down and downplay the gravity of Vito's betrayal. Of course, the narrative reason why Sil asks the question is for us to get to a point where we realize the crew are all disgusted, but they weren't even aware at this point that Vito had gone a step further from what they could have ever imagined and is actually giving head, and we see their reactions. It's informative because we see the differing reactions, and it's of course entertaining because the scene is so funny. It also suggests that the guys see a difference between catching and pitching, like pitching is less gay. Interestingly, this is thought to be the way the Romans thought about gay sex. It's all good so long as you're pitching, not catching. I think that's how Augustus put it. And the Romans, where are they now? What exactly Sil was going to ask isn't important. It's there to set up Finn's line, and it serves the purpose of telling us that the guys didn't know it was Vito doing it up until that point. In a way, it's clever because we don't need to see Finn recounting his story. We were there. We saw Vito stab Paulie in the heart and the security guard stab Vito in the mouth. So it makes sense for the show to skip this and jump into the scene at a point where we get new information. When Sil asks the question, what I always thought he was going to ask was something along the lines of whether Vito looked like he was enjoying it. I think Silvio wanted to perhaps suggest the idea that it wasn't pitching for fun. It was more of a domination kind of thing. Like perhaps Vito was punishing the security guard for something. It was some kind of power trip, debt repayment, humiliation, conflict resolution from the old country. Perhaps this could have actually saved Vito. The idea that he wasn't actually in the submissive role and wasn't getting sexual enjoyment out of it. The crew would be repulsed, but they might not be actively pushing for Vito's death. The way Sil asks the question, it does look like he's looking for a way out for Vito, grasping at straws for some kind of plausible deniability. Like, was he drunk? Was he passed out? Was he forced into it? Did Vito have a gun to the guy's head? Was Vito crying, laughing, singing? Sil might not even have a fully formed question in his head, just throwing whatever he could out there because he's still taking in what Finn said. It's his process. It could be even some kind of random but rational question, just to get a better idea of the picture. When the security guard was sucking him off, how far away were you from the car? Did you get a good look at the guard? Were there any other people around? Was it dark? Any chance it was actually a woman? Perhaps Finn hadn't specified they were in a car and he wanted to know where exactly Vito and the guard were. Or maybe Sil wanted to know if Finn got a look at Vito's brajol to see if he really was this close to screwing Adriana. Or maybe he was going to say, who was looking after the site? Eva di Consigliere. Or maybe he wanted to know if there was any blood pressure medication on the dashboard. A joke book perhaps? An Easter basket perchance? Was Vito wearing the village people outfit? Maybe he was on his way to saying, just when the security guard was pulling out, Vito pulled him back in, but he screwed up the delivery. Or maybe I need to seek therapy for making a video this long on Silvio's sucking off the security guard question. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.